We're going to make a video here about some Gravely snowblower work. And I got this snowblower last fall, about a year ago, and it was sitting in this guy's yard. He had passed away, and it was sunk down in the dirt, like it was buried in the dirt probably 2 or 3 inches. It had been sitting there for so long. So what's happened is it's rotted out the bottom of the drum around the blower housing, and I was able to get a parts drum from a friend of mine back in February when we were at the Gravely blow-in down in Pennsylvania, and he gave it to me, and I was thinking about restoring this thing all summer and never got to it. And now that it's getting close to, mid-November now, snow's on my mind, so I figured I'd just putz around with it because it was 70 degrees this weekend. And you don't get weather like that in November too often, so I hope you enjoy. All right, so we're going to try to take this snowblower apart here. And we got to drive this fan shaft out. It's all rusty and full of dirt and nasty. It has no slip clutch, no nut. So I know it takes a 5/8 nut. So here's one that will thread on there, and we'll see if we can pound it down. See what happens. All right, so the nut won't even go in the shaft. So I got this die here. I'm going to try to thread it on with this wrench and see if we can clean up the threads enough to get a nut on there so we can beat the shaft out without destroying the shaft. So far it's working. The same thread that goes on a mower deck spindle, and I've had a lot of problems with those in the past, so I bought a die. Alright, you get the idea. So I got a nut on there now, and I'm going to give it a couple whacks with this hammer here and see what happens. Okay, it's actually going. Cool. Okay, so now that I've given a couple whacks, it freed up the fan shaft, which wouldn't spin before. So now I can't get the nut off without holding the fan. So I'm going to have to tilt this down, hold the fan, and back this nut off, and hopefully we can drive it all the way forward. I put this big, huge metal pry bar down into the fan here to brace it so I can get that nut out, and it worked great. So the nut's off. Let's see if we can pull that whole fan shaft out the front now. Okay, I failed to get this on video, but I literally just pulled the bearing out, just pushed it with my thumb, and the whole shaft came out the front. So I'm gonna need a new bearing, that's for sure. And this race here, they're shot. I think inside here is an oil seal, and that's got to be shot. So let's put it back down for a minute. So yeah, so in the front of the fan here is another bearing. That one's actually spinning. Actually looks pretty good. I don't think I'm going to screw with that if I don't have to. This coupler up here is frozen on there. Again, I'm trying not to dick with this stuff if I don't have to. But the real reason I wanted to take it out is because the whole back of this blower is rotted out, and I got a replacement one to put on there that my friend Dick gave me, which is right here. Here we go. So what I wanted to do was take it apart and put that on there and clean everything up and paint it and put it back together for this winter. Let's see if we can do it. All right, let's see if we can get this rusty thing apart. I took out these 2 big bolts that went down here. Some bolts over here, bolts over here. There's some bolts that hold this whole frame onto the side on both edges here. So if we take all that out, we should be able to expose this drum. We got to pull the whole drum off. So we'll take off this piece up here for the angle bracket. So let's get to it. The bolts out. Now this piece here just slides out. And now you can expose this whole drum here. So I got a couple bolts here to take off. They're like clamps and stuff. Not sure what we're going to get into there, but we got to take all this junk off. That just comes off. Got to take the cable off of that. We should be able to take those 2 nuts off there and work the cable out. So let's give that a shot. I got all the bolts off around the drum except for this one on the bottom. And the main problem with this blower is that it was sitting outside in the dirt and it rotted out the whole bottom. That's really our number one issue here. So I'm kind of hoping that if I get this drum off, that the rest of the metal here isn't too far gone, that I can save it, you know. So I'm gonna just grind the head off of this bolt because that sucker will not come out, and then we'll hopefully be able to get this drum off and assess it a little more. All right, so I ground the head off of it, and there we go, it's off. This freaking thing is shot, man, totally shot. I got another parts blower that I can salvage some more pieces off of, but that sucker is shot. See if I can pound that out. There we go. Perfect. So now I just got to get that drum off. Not really sure how to take it off. I think you just twist it and it comes off. I'll flip it up and look inside and make sure there's no other clamps or something, but I think I got them all taken out. All right, so I literally picked up on the drum and just hammered the blower down 2 or 3 times and it popped apart. So let's take this off and let's see what we're left with here on the actual blower. It's actually not so bad in there. The back on here is like really pitted, but I think we'll be okay if we take a flap disc to this or something and a wire wheel and just try to clean it up. I think we got to get this clean enough so that that drum can actually rotate on it, and then we should be in decent shape. But there's, like I said, there's some big pits here, but nothing is really going through. A lot of these are just paint peeling blisters, not necessarily big pits, but we'll take that skid off. So basically I need to, you know, clean up all this metal here and repaint it. And I was thinking of, you know, just taking my grinder with the wire wheel and stuff and hitting it all, then painting it with some rusty metal primer. Ideally you could sandblast it, but I don't have a sandblaster, so I can't do that. Anyways, that's it. All right, so I took the flap disc there on the drill and I went around the edge of the I'll call it the opening here. And then I got this used housing here and I put it on there and it spins freely. So I think at this point we just got to clean up all this paint and repaint it and then start putting it back together. One more thing to note, the chain inside the gearbox here for angling the chute is totally rusted solid, so that will have to be taken apart and rechained.